Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Geek Dad Reviews. I'm Brian West.
And I'm Ryan Thomas.
And tonight we're going to be reviewing the Season 2 of Netflix's Luke Cage.
A little late. It's my fault. It took me a while to finally get around. I had a large queue, and I finally cleared it up to Luke Cage.
Listen, let's be honest. A lot of these Netflix series, I feel like, especially the Marvel ones, people kind of get around to at their own leisure, so...
Yes.
Whatever.
Like the first seasons, I think everybody just kind of like, they had to binge watch immediately, but it seems like a lot of these second seasons, it's not the same thing.
Well, first of all, here's the honest to God truth. Outside of Daredevil, none of these Netflix series are kind of much must watch like immediately the day they drop anymore. They're good series, but Jessica Jones season 1, at least for us, I know me and you are kind of in agreement on this one, was not a great series. Luke Cage season 1 was fun, but it really dragged on. Iron Fist season 1 was fun, but it really made no sense.
Yeah.
And the Punisher was really good, but it was just super dark, and it was really hard to consume all in once. So I think with these second seasons, to your point, I definitely have taken my time. I still have yet to finish Jessica Jones season 2, but I'm working my way through it. Currently working my way through Iron Fist season 2. But to be honest, I actually think these shows are better when you don't binge watch them.
Yeah, and I've been kind of taking my time. It's taken me about a week now to get through all the Luke Cage episodes. And like you said, I think Netflix has kind of gotten people, like, you can binge, but you don't have to binge all at once.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think we're starting to see a pattern where there's so many shows now, everything's dropping at once, that you don't have time to just binge watch the whole thing anymore.
Well,
so
it's not even about time.
I got to it as quick as I could.
Sometimes shows, when you give them a little bit of breathing room between episodes, they just tend to be better. So, Daredevil season 1 and 2 were almost like movies, like long movies, so you really just wanted to watch the next episode. But I feel like with Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and they tend to be a little more of your standard TV watching. Yes, they're one big story that kind of stretches out, but I feel like if you try and watch them one after the other, you really start to kind of get bogged down with the story, and it's not nearly as enjoyable. At least that was my experience with the season 1. So I know with Luke Cage season 2, we took our time, we watched it over a long period of time, and I actually enjoyed it more because of it. I thought the story had a chance to breathe a little bit, and I thought the 13 episodes in season 2 did not seem nearly as long as the 13 episodes in season 1.
Yeah, I like season 2 a lot more than season 1.
I like the villain a lot more. Bushmaster, I really liked Bushmaster a lot. Now, I was a huge fan of Cottonmouth. I thought in season 1 where... okay, so real quick, obviously we're talking Luke Cage season 1 and 2 a little bit here. We're going to be diving into some spoilers. We're not going to spoil the end. We're not going to give away major plot points. But we're definitely going to be talking a little bit about season 1. So spoilers, you have been warned. In season 1, when Cottonmouth died, I thought the show really took a dive as far as quality, just because the villain, Diamondback, was not nearly as good of a villain. I was never a big fan of Black Mariah. But in this season, we get Bushmaster, who's from Jamaica.
Yes.
And I
gotta say, these Jamaicans are a lot better than the Buckaroo Banzai Jamaica.
Yes, they're much better than the Jamaicans from that show. If you'd like to know what our feelings are on Buckaroo Banzai, check out. We did a crap-tastic on it. But yeah, so we get some Jamaicans who come to Brooklyn, to the Bronx, to take back what's theirs, and there's a whole backstory there. And I thought that was one of the really strong points of season 2, is they weaved in this tale of rival families that tied into Mariah and her family, that told a story that was very compelling, and it gave a lot of it turned the Jamaicans not just into villains, but people with the history.
Yeah, you have, you kind of like understand the reasoning for what Bushmaster. You don't have to agree with his approach to it.
Yeah, he kind of became a sympathetic character halfway through the series, which you really liked a lot.
Yeah, I like the approach that they took for, as someone who can actually go toe to toe with Luke Cage.
Yes.
and it was a lot of fun. I mean,
Well, I also liked how they picked up from season 1 pretty much right afterwards and kind of showed like, hey, now everybody knows there's a superhero in Harlem and what that means for him. And I like how they shied away. Like now he's basically like a celebrity and he can't get away from everybody. And they have an app that tracks Luke Cage. And what does that mean?
How's he going to start making some money because he doesn't have a job?
Yeah, exactly. And so I very much enjoyed Luke Cage the second season. I liked how they continued the story, but they did it in a lot of realistic ways. I liked the villain. I thought the villain was really good. Like I said, I was never a big fan of Mariah in the first season.
I'm still not a fan of her in the second season.
Yeah, I did. And even when the way it wraps up, I was glad to see this character go. I just was never a giant fan of hers. Shades, I kind of like Shades, but to be honest, the stuff that hung around from season 1 did not work as well in this as the new stuff in season 2.
Yeah, it's the one thing that really bugged me about season 2 was actually Mariah. I mean, her character, they seem to kind of go over the top.
Yeah.
And like overacting, a lot of this stuff.
Well, and she's a really good actress, so it just seems strange.
She's an amazing actress, but it's just I got tired of it, honestly. So, but I mean, the rest of Luke Cage, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I watched closed captions, and so some of my favorite parts were when the Jamaicans were talking, and they say "me Cayenne," and all that. It said "M.I."
Well, it felt very authentic. This season really, I don't know who the showrunner was or who produced this or whatever, but it felt like the people making this really understood the cultures that they were trying to represent. And this of all the shows I've watched so far of the Netflix shows, this one by far felt the most like it had a history, like it has a culture to it, right? That it was authentic in what it was representing. And I really enjoyed that a lot. I didn't like as much as I felt like this season Luke Cage was kind of a passenger to the story. I felt the story was between Mariah and Bushmaster, and Luke Cage was just kind of along for the ride, which I didn't enjoy as much. His dad, I wasn't a big fan of his dad coming back into it. I really loved the Misty Knight stuff in here. I think Misty Knight was fantastic in this season, as always. I love the Colleen Wing episode where she showed up with Misty Knight to help her fight guys with no arm. When she finally gets her bionic arm, it is great. I did not like the Claire stuff in this. Claire got all like, oh, Luke. I didn't like how they just made Luke filled with all this rage, right? He's just like
Luke just basically becomes like a domestic abuser, essentially.
Well, I felt like the show, like in the first season, they were culturally relevant, like the whole hoodie thing. They wanted to talk about Black America and young black men being shot.
Was basically Trayvon Martin.
Yeah, and they wanted to talk about young black men being gunned down for wearing a hoodie, and I thought it worked really well in the first season. It felt very powerful. I feel like this one, they try to talk about just angry black men in America in general, and I understand why that message needs to be told, but I didn't feel it worked as well this season. And I think it was really represented with Claire just leaving. Like she's like, I can't anymore, I'm out, and then she just disappears, and it just I don't know. I feel like it didn't. They tried to make a statement in this one like they did in the first one. It just did not play as well, unfortunately. But overall, I still thought it was a really good series, really great season. Some of the highlights for me was when we finally got to see a little Heroes for Hire. The Iron Fist showed up, and him and Luke Cage. Yeah, I mean he's just like Iron Fist. Doors exploding, people exploding.
When that episode starts off and they bro fist.
Yes.
That's when you know.
Dude, the best part is they finally have like a power-up team-up move where Iron Fist like hits Luke Cage and everything explodes. It's great. It's this is a good season. It's definitely worth watching. I really liked it. Some of the low points for me was it wasn't culturally as impactful as I thought the first season was, but it didn't
still enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean it tried to make some points of today's society that it just didn't hit him. I didn't think they did a really strong job doing it like they did in the first season. But other than that, I thought it was still a really good show. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good second season. I'm kind kind of wondering how they're going to approach like the third seasons on these shows.
Well,
if
yeah,
they should even have a third season.
I don't want to talk too much about the finale for anybody who hasn't watched this yet, but I didn't really like the way they ended this, so I'm not really sure what they're going to do with the next one, and I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, to be honest with you, how they start it. But overall, I will say check out Iron Fist. Check out Luke Cage. I'm watching so many Marvel shows right now. I can't keep track of all.
Check out Jessica
Iron Cage, season 7, right now available on Netflix.
Yeah, and Agents of Luke Cage.
Agents of Luke Fist Dagger.
Jessica.
Watch them all. Anyway, Luke Cage season 2 is available now on Netflix. Watch it. It's good. Yes. You'll enjoy it. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I would like to say it's bedtime.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay awesome.
And stay nerdy, everyone.